Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast. Come for a drink, but stay for the speculation. We're getting philosophical on this episode and asking the question, does science fiction inspire scientific discoveries and inventions? Our hypothesis is yes. Yes, it does. Science fiction and science go hand in hand. So grab a drink for your other hand and enjoy the conversation. This is a SciFi Pubcast. Greetings, welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. And as always, we are looking for people to come visit our bar. So if you're passionate about something and want to be on a podcast, please let us know. Send us an email at management@scifipubcast.space or hit us up on social media. And I'm looking around, and yes, it's a pub, so sound quality is not perfect, but we don't care because it's a pub. Oh my God! It's Carrie Simpson. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm recovering from an extra day of work yesterday, and that was fun. I got to play with a couple of very pretty snakes. There's a baby Burmese python I got to hang out with. And when I say baby, it was only 3 feet long.
So you're saying to us you're a professional snake charmer?
No. I just make friends with them.
Oh, that's the best way to do things.
Yeah.
Are snakes capable of affection?
Sometimes.
Ah, there you go. And the voice you heard is Derek BB.
Howdy-ho.
Hey, okay, great. So let's go back to Carrie. Carrie,
Yes.
what's up with all the fires in California and the air quality and the deaths?
Well, the fire down here is out. The one up north is, I think, 30 to 40% contained. There's some opinions that we don't manage our forests properly and we don't rake all the dried leaves and stuff.
Right.
I happen to think whoever said that is full of shit.
Yes.
But, the deer leader was out here yesterday, and the look on the governor and the soon-to-be governor's faces tells you everything you need to know about that.
Right. So it's just a typical day in California. Or typical week. Yeah,
typical day. Part of the state's on fire.
Yeah.
And I think the orange one has gone back to his one of his holes back east or something like that.
Just to let you know, I've been playing the lottery twice a week, and when I do make the big score, I might move to California. We'll see. I'm considering it. So
okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, Derek, how you doing? Any weather issues in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I had my own natural disaster to deal with. We had a major snowstorm on Thursday, and what was supposed to have been a 30-minute drive to get home took me 5 hours. And it was a miracle I got there at all because my driver's side windshield wiper broke off in the ice, and I had zero visibility, and I couldn't drive or get up hills. I had to turn around a few times. There were just roads that were stuck full of stranded cars. I also ran over some poles too because I couldn't see anything.
Oh my!
Not like like traffic pole, just like those little tiny warning poles around the edges of roads.
Oh, Derek.
But man, it was a real nightmare.
But it's
worst ride of my life.
So Joel, do we have a backup plan in case Derek gets himself killed in a snowstorm or something?
Yeah, I got to make like a job posting on LinkedIn or something.
Okay.
Come work for us for free. Or I'll pay you in like Rebel credits or something, Republican credits. Hand drawn.
Not Republican credits, please. No.
Okay.
Gods, no.
Republic credits are no good here.
Yeah, it's backed by the rebel government. Sure it is. Oh, well, resist. That's all I can say. So, Derek, let's go back to my pub, or our pub, the good old SciFi Pubcast. And how's the kitchen doing?
It's pretty good. In honor of our scientific invention theme for the day, I humbly present my latest dish, I call it Buzzard Ram's Poop in honor of the Buzzard Ram Scoop collector from Star Trek Next Generation. What I did was I put the plate on the ground and I get like a dollop of white ice cream and I just kind of like get up on a ladder so I'm like near the ceiling and just kind of fling it down so it splats on the plate. And there's little bits of Oreo cookie in there and also some small bones.
Okay, Carrie, let's talk later about posting a job thing on LinkedIn, okay?
Yes, please. Let's do that.
Okay.
I am horrified at this entire endeavor.
As you can see, I'm also an inventor.
Oh, great. Yes. And, it takes courage to be an inventor, especially for some people. And it's great to see, Derek. We're always so supportive here. So, well, with me, let's see. I had a dental surgery that went sideways on me, literally, on Wednesday night. So half my face is still swollen, and it's been 4 days. I'm on painkillers.
I can't tell.
Yeah. Thank God, because when we record this, we just do the audio file to save on bandwidth. So I'm kind of speaking out of the corner of my mouth. On the positive side is that I'm not hungover. I've been sober for days and days and days, which,
Good.
there's that.
You're learning some things about yourself?
Yes, actually, I've been reading a lot about Zen Buddhism of late and trying to discover the key to happiness. Yes. My world was a mess last several weeks, but so be it. But what else? I've been traveling a lot for work. I was in Vancouver for several days, and I'm from Ottawa. Well, I'm living in Ottawa. I'm not actually from here. No one's from Ottawa. Everyone comes to Ottawa because it's a government town. And, moving on. And guess what, guys? I decided to add a segment to our Sci-Fi Pubcast. Yes, I'm going to be talking about a beer I've had, which I can recommend this time in the show, every other show, like every show coming down the pipe. And today I want to talk about a local Ottawa brewery called Overflow Brewing Company, because I had a kick-ass Final Bow Porter, a coffee porter, and it was pretty good. Yes, this is the pub side of the Sci-Fi Pubcast. So, okay. Eric, please don't take offense. We're not going to highlight your food products just now, maybe down the road.
Okay.
So definitely check out Overflow Brewing Company Final Bow. It's 5.7% alcohol by volume, and it has an IBU rating of 28. There you go. Yes, we just did a beer recommendation on the Sci-Fi Pubcast. Drink!
What is an IBU?
International Bitterness Units. So
what does that mean?
How bitter the beer is. So you take something like Coors Light, and I think that's going to be like a 1, whereas something like a major bitter from England is going to be like in the 40s.
Do you want it to be bitter?
Some people do. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Indian Pale Ales because it's so bitter and just doesn't agree with my palates. But some people love their IPAs. I'm not one of these people, but who knows? Tastes change over time.
And what is a porter?
A porter is like a stout. It's a dark colored beer. So Guinness is a stout. A porter is more of a winter beer. You see them a lot around Christmas, and you can get into the whole science of it, and which I'm not doing right now because I can't afford to. I can't afford to brew my own beer. I can simply host a podcast that talks about, hey, this is not bad beer, and give a shout out because we don't have advertisers on this podcast. We don't sell commercials. All we can do is mention people's names and brands and podcasts that we actually like because that's how the community works.
And books.
And books, yes. By the way, have you read Rena Graham's Before Life yet?
Yes.
Speaking of which, I actually met up with him last weekend in London, Ontario, and we went out for a couple of drinks. He's doing well. He senses his regrets. He couldn't do the recording this afternoon, but he'll be back in no time. We're going to the same barber, apparently, nowadays. Okay, but let's get into the meat and potatoes of this show, shall we? Because our topic is, does science fiction inspire scientific discoveries and inventions? And it's our hypothesis, yes it does. Because you think about this, and let me tell you how I got on this topic, because several months ago I had a conversation with someone, and the person was of the belief that science fiction and science is two completely different things, and never do they meet. And I call it bullshit because to me, it's all about inspiration. It's all about art affecting reality. But saying that, you think about it, is there any clear-cut cases where we can say, hey, this invention was created because of science fiction? But we can certainly say that, hey, all these, and there's literally thousands of inventions were created that was cited in pieces of science fiction, and now it's reality. But, I'm fairly certain that if you go into any engineering school at the university level and they say, hey, make me a flying car, a bunch of students will try to make you a flying car, and they may not be successful, or they might. So that is what I mean by science fiction. How much does it inspire discoveries and inventions? I think yes. What do you guys think?
Definitely.
Definitely, yes. Right, that's for your thesis. Okay, let's send it to the publisher. Okay.
Have you proved your hypothesis yet, though?
No, the evidence is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the show, but this is a discussion, and it's not a scientific paper, unfortunately. And the reason why it's not a scientific paper, because I actually suck at science. That's why I'm in the arts, and that's why I'm doing a podcast as opposed to doing a PhD in astrophysics. I know it's terrible. Life is about compromises.
You don't have to, suck at science. You can, just not want to do it for a living. I mean, yeah. I like science. I just didn't want to do it for a living, which is why I gave up trying to be one.
Yeah, with me, I never had the math skills. So without the math skills, having the science part or moving part is really hard. And part of it was I just wasn't really good at it, and part of it was high school. I had so many things going on in my life, and not all of which were good. So I got distracted, and by the time I wanted to focus on math and science, it was too late for me. Stay at school, kids. Do well for yourself. But I'm looking at it because I'm a big believer. Is what can we do to help people and help the people that means things to us and improve our lot in life? And I think a big way to do this is through knowledge. That's why I run a podcast. When the current president of the United States got elected, that's November night. I was so disillusioned because I saw the antithesis of what I stand for. That I went out and I decided to donate money. I became part of the Planetary Society, which does a podcast called Planetary Radio, which is great. That's Carl Sagan's who was one of the founding members of that. To me, it's all about adding back to society and discourse and having conversations as opposed to arguments, which is strictly up and down, who's right, who's wrong, which uses a lot of rhetoric and a lot of logical literary devices.
And what is that podcast about?
It's about real science, about space. Space, real space things.
Like the Final Frontier type
yes.
type place?
Yeah, exactly.
That thing that our planet is hanging out in?
Yeah, that's it. And it's really high end. They're based out of Pasadena. I think they've been around about 30 years. I pay like $5 a month to be part of it. And that's just me. Because I'm a huge space fan. And going back to the whole discoveries, now why do we have astronauts in space? Why do we have satellites? Why do we have probes? That's look at Voyager 1 and 2, both of which are out of our solar system. That stuff just floors me at an existential level. That humanity has sent these probes away which we will never ever see them again. That's just awesome. And it's not just okay, here's the science, because
it's also littering, but
yeah, there's that. But like the golden record with a selection of music tastes and languages and pictures, all of this stuff. It's the bigger questions, because it's the big questions I'm really on about nowadays. Because I'm probably going through a bit of a midlife crisis, but so be it. Okay, because I fully, and first thing, I appreciate you guys letting me be philosophical on this show. I really do, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of inventions and the tricorders and all that good stuff in a bit. But it's like art, good art, and there's bad art, and there's just art. What is art? Well, if you take any art criticism courses, they debate that endlessly. But to me, art is something that positively affects the real world around us. It's the value of the art. What does it do? Does it inspire people? Does it make people think? Does it bring attention to a cause? If not, to use a musical joke from The Commitments, it's like jazz. It's just musical wanking. It's just masturbation. And I know it's crass, but it's kind of like you need to have value for that. You need to have authenticity to it. So That's where I'm on about. And of course, the first thing you do in any conversation formally is, of course, define some terms, because language is such that terms mean different things to different people. Now, I think our definition of science fiction, well, it's kind of an art. It's storytelling with speculation of events in the future. And we're very flexible and certainly not rigid here on the Sci-Fi Pubcast. Do you guys think that's a great definition, a good definition?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and then define science. Well, science is a way of understanding the world around us using the scientific method, and and that's the whole idea of scientific experimentation. It's about and this is from Google Dictionary, a method or procedure that has characterized natural science since the 17th century, consisting in systematic observation, measurement, and experiment, and formulation, testing, and modification of hypothesis, i.e., was your hypothesis right or wrong, and then just change it up. That's how you get to knowledge, and make sure that the experiment can be done multiple times with the same result, and to try to identify any variables that may affect the outcome of the experiment. So we have science fiction and we have science, and to me they go hand in hand. It's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? To me that's where it's at.
It's an Ouroboros, one feeding the other.
Yes. And quite frankly, I'm still quite agitated that we haven't got a flying car yet. Like, where's the flying cars? What's the holdup?
Hey, we're still trying to working on getting cars off gasoline. So I think we need to take care of that first.
Hey, listen. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, we could probably do both at the same time, but I think getting off of a fossil fuel dependency is probably better for the world around us, especially for the environment. And I'm speaking from a state that is regularly on fire because of climate change and stuff.
Carrie, can you stop making sense, please? Okay. Come on.
Fine. I'll give me a second. I just need to get a little more high, and then I can stop making sense.
Hi, are you in Canada now? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yes. So
it's legal over here too, dear.
Is it? Oh, in California? I didn't know that.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Did they just pass that, or was that?
Oh, it passed. It fortunately passed the same year the dear leader got elected.
Right.
So I guess thank gods for small favors.
So what for anyone? No, you don't need like a medical reason.
Ooh.
So there's just like stores that sell it.
Yes. You can even get it delivered. It's amazing.
My personal take on it is that I really don't care. It's not my thing, but as long as it doesn't affect people around you, I really don't care. But that's kind of my life philosophy. Yes. Where were we? Right.
Flying cars.
Flying cars. Yes. Where's my flying cars? Okay.
And if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and check out the Kevin Smith Clerks short, The Flying Car. It's with Dante and Randall from the Clerks movie, talking about why there's no flying cars around. It's really funny. It's only like 5 minutes long. Yeah,
I tried it from Canada, and it won't let me because of the IP thing with the content. But I got Clerks, the movie, here, and I'll look it up later on and watch it. Yeah, Kevin Smith. His movies are, interesting. I find them entertaining.
Is there a Canadian YouTube?
Yeah, so how it works for intellectual property is that any law governing intellectual property is, of course, from a country. So Canada has its own laws, the U.S. has its own laws, the United Kingdom has its own laws, all this stuff, right? So when you're licensed, you have to license and go into agreements with say, YouTube and all of these different countries. So, yes, so you have YouTube in Canada, but it's slightly different because what's on YouTube. It's all about content.
You should become a copyright lawyer.
You know how boring that is? What that is? No, I actually did some training to become an entertainment lawyer, like a 2-day conference as a continuing professional development stuff. And it's neat. I love the creative end. But entertainment lawyers is all about, one, contracts. You have a talent, and is he or she getting a good deal or not? And two, it's about tax breaks and financing of production. It's about getting the money. And that's how the film industry works, because most of it is all based on tax breaks and reducing your overhead to make it profitable. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, my dad used to have this shirt, and on the front was a comic of a producer wanting everything to make it faster, make it cheaper, and on the back was the same producer wanting to know why everything looked like crap.
Yeah, I've come to terms with the fact that the only way I'm going to get into high-end arts or film production is by winning the lottery, or meeting a woman who loves me and who's rich. So it's probably not going to be the second one, and it may be the first one. So I'm playing the lottery twice a week now.
What if she doesn't love you, but she's still rich?
I look for love. To me, love is the only thing that cares. Everything else falls in place afterwards. And if you don't get that, you don't get love. But I digress. Hey, speaking of which, here's a question for you guys. Mm-hmm. Do you think back in the twilight or the dusk of humanity, when we were in caves 40,000 years ago and making art cavings and paintings in caves and all that good stuff, that was there any reference to the wheel before someone created the wheel?
I have no idea.
It was probably the monolith that did it.
Yeah, upon the monolith. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. What was it? History of the World Part 1 with Mel Brooks? Wasn't it someone who had a wheel? Yes, and then they urinated on it or something like that.
You know what? I haven't seen that movie in a long time. It's on my list to rewatch.
Yeah.
When I get around to it, I'll let you know.
Yeah. So I think the world needs more Mel Brooks. Fortunately, he's,
I agree.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and science and science fiction. Actually, yeah. There you go.
Yes.
So let's get more into it. Being a bit of a film guy, and I'm not a huge film guy because I only dabble in it when I can. I'm just, when I was thinking about this topic, we mentioned this on the show before, is 1902, A Trip to the Moon by Georges Méliès, which is a French director, which is partly based off, or at least inspired by Jules Verne's and H.G. Wells. And this is the one with the picture of the moon, and there's a face on the moon. And it's like the first science fiction film, not the first book, but the first science fiction film. And that's 116 years ago.
I think, wasn't that like the first movie of any kind?
Yeah, it's like a 13. You can watch it on YouTube. The whole thing's on YouTube. It's like a 13-minute clip. And it's fascinating in the early days of cinema.
And then you can watch the Smashing Pumpkins video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
yeah, I think that's definitely a good segue, Derek. There.
But it goes to the whole thing. I'm sure that human beings have looked up at the night sky and look at the moon since there have been human beings and say, "What the hell is that? How do I get there? Is it made of cheese? Is it a rock? Is it heaven? Is it hell? What is?
Is it a woman? Is it a man? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is it Diane? Is it a Greek god? So now you fast forward to 1902, and it makes its way into a film, the first ever film, and someone shoots a rocket to land on the moon. Now, can you link that to say Apollo? 13, 11 should say, landing on the moon in 1969.
Well, it definitely helped inspire people to try and say, "Hey, can we go there?"
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's partly what science fiction does. It helps. It points the way and say, these are the things that we think might be possible, and let's see how and then science says, well, let's see how we can get there, in part.
Before we can build something, we must first imagine it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And to apply the scientific method, you need to actually come up with experiments, and that's where creativity is key. It's a way to gain knowledge through empirical senses. And by empirical, I mean your senses, so your sight, your touch, your hearing, all that stuff, as opposed to what's called rationalism, which is what happens inside your mind. But that's a philosophical discussion for another time. I'm really trying to find my Zen nowadays, so fuck it. And I know, because I've talked to enough scientists in my day, and I know a lot of scientists, not in Ottawa but elsewhere, where it's hard to find someone going to grad school in physics or in chemistry who's not inspired by science fiction or geekdom or some sort of popular culture, or Doctor Who. Doctor Who is huge. I remember going to one of the Star Wars celebrations, the last one, Orlando, like 2 ago. so Celebration 6. And they had a whole panel on people who work for NASA who were inspired by Star Wars. Now, can you say, okay, so Star Wars led to these people becoming scientists and astronauts at NASA? That's kind of a stretch, but did it help? You know, I don't think it's all or nothing. I think it's just part of the context, part of this perspective, part of the milieu.
I think you're right.
If I'm not, please tell me, because I'm clearly not right all the time. So,
Well, you're the boss, so I have to say you're always right.
yeah, but I have labor issues, so so as a small labor pool, I have to be considerate about that. Consider that. Okay. Yeah, so not only do I have a speech impediment, but half my face is swollen. So I'm doing pretty well communicating, I think, today.
Yeah, you're doing great, Joel. We can't tell.
Oh God, yes.
You are practically intelligible.
Oh, there you go. All right. My big question is that if we didn't have science fiction, or we didn't have pop culture, or geekdom, or stories to really go down to the basics, the essentials, would we have all these inventions? Because if you look at some scientists, they're not into storytelling. They're the complete opposite personality types. They're driven by something else. So I don't know. I think we'll have lots of these inventions because it's all based on different personalities. It's on the individual. So we can't impose a clear-cut rule saying, yes, science fiction inspires inventions, period, in all cases, because it probably doesn't. Does it? What do you guys think?
Well, necessity is the mother of some invention. Like, they invented the microwave not because it was in a science fiction story, but because they needed a way to warm food on the space shuttle. So some things you invent because you have to, but other things you have to dream of first.
Yeah, cool. And there are so many inventions. I started researching this show last night, and I started to Google some stuff, and there's been a bunch of your articles and stuff. But I discovered this one website called technovelgy.com. So TECH, tech, novel, NOVELGY.com. And it's a glossary of inventions and sources of things in science fiction that's become either scientific inventions or scientific concepts. And there's thousands and thousands of examples. And it's, wow, like everything. Now, I'm not sure how accurate the sourcing is because I haven't determined that, but just seeing there, basically on the screen, who knew? Like, who really knew? What do you guys think?
I mean, you can just go off of stuff we've seen in Star Trek that that we thought was a big deal back then, but now we've kind of surpassed the thinking of the technology. You might look at the communicator from the original series, who didn't want a flip phone when they came out, and now we've moved beyond the flip phone, and now we all have mini computers in our pockets.
Like tricorders.
Those two.
Yeah, it's mini computers, and it's like universal translators, because you get Google Translate. You got Google Map, which is a form of artificial intelligence. You have tablets. And when Star Trek was around, that wasn't these things weren't invented yet. This like tricorders, like even the health functions, as simple as how many steps per day do you take? Your phone can record that nowadays.
Yeah, true.
I'm still waiting with bated breath for hyposprays to become a thing, because I read like 10 years ago an article that they actually invented a hypospray so that instead of one big needle, it's like 100 microscopic needles so that you can't even feel it because it's so small it doesn't hit your pain receptors. And I've been waiting for that because my greatest fear is needles.
Oh, wow.
And I'm still waiting for that one, man.
So can you explain what hypospray is, Dirk?
Well, hypospraying is in Star Trek, where I don't know how the exact Star Trek technology of it works, but it's not a needle. I think what it is it just kind of like, I think it is kind of like that, where it just kind of like does 100 minuscule entry ports into your skin, as opposed to being one big needle forcing itself into your flesh. And then that's what they're allegedly working on, where it would still be needles in the real world, but they would be so tiny that you couldn't even feel them.
Okay, cool.
I imagine if they got to that, my next tattoo would be far less painful.
Yeah, there's that. Well, there's other examples from Star Trek. What do you guys want to say? speak to it?
Yeah, like the replicators are basically the modern day 3D printers. Well, I mean, that's the first iteration of it. I mean, they can't make food and stuff. But
actually, I read they can now. Some 3D printers
Really?
can actually print food products.
Oh my God!
So it's
I know.
It's coming, and I'm going to have a hot Earl tea sometime soon. Yeah.
I mean, I assume that you would have to have the original components of the food, that it's not just kind of like a generic slurry of material.
Yeah.
But
I think you would have to have the printer be able to create, complex carbohydrates and proteins and stuff.
But yeah, that's amazing that they can do that now.
Yeah, but we're talking about 3D printing and building our own tea. But even if you go back to the original Star Trek, the classic Trek, they had large screen TVs, color TVs.
Yeah, we don't have those at all right now.
Yeah. That's
wait,
yeah. But even stuff which we assume to be there, and we're talking about flip phones, and yeah, I had a flip phone. Yes, so, but even the scientific concepts like teleporters or teleportation. Well, guess what they're doing in physics right now? They're not teleporting people from point A to point B, obviously, but there's certain particles which at the quantum level, which they're making sense and they're teleporting. All very quirky. But and I wish I could understand it, but I find this stuff amazing.
I mean, I'm sure that Star Trek, the original series, didn't invent most of those things, that they got them from pre-existing science fiction novels, and they just popularized those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Star Trek didn't invent teleportation, but...
Yeah. Well, no,
but it was actually a production money-saving production ploy, because if you notice, they don't actually use the shuttlecraft until like halfway through season 1.
Yeah, it saves on money, and they had to have a way to get the crew off the ship and down to the planet. So, and not just jumping on the ship and letting gravity take over, because that would be bad.
They did that in the 2009 Star Trek movie.
Enough. I know.
Remember when they did that skydive thing?
Yeah, bizarre. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was because the transfer wasn't working conveniently.
Actually, they did that in Into Darkness too. Now that I think about it, Kirk and Khan, shot through that debris field.
That ship's shields were up. Transporters don't work through shields.
Oh, it's like hands-free, like phones and devices. Because you see that with Lieutenant Aurora with her thing in her ear. Back when in the classic Trek, but we remember Star Trek. What's the one with the whales? San Francisco. Voyage Home. Right. Okay. With Scotty and trying to do something on a computer keyboard, and he started to talk into the keyboard, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is outrageous. This is primitive." So you had to type.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And now we're talking to our computers again. So someday the keyboard will be very quaint.
Yeah, and the thing is, people, some people live through like things like Spotify or Alexa, where good morning Alexa, play this station or play this band, or what time is it, or what's on my calendar for today. It's like, okay, so you have your personal assistants that are computerized.
Yeah. I already talk to myself too much as it is. I don't need to be talking to a disembodied voice somewhere in my apartment.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy, but yeah. But then, okay, to bring all the Star Trek home, so to speak. So last year, and Derek, you were with me. We went to the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum, right, in New York City?
Yes, we did.
And we went on the USS Intrepid, sorry. See, that's my face not working. Which houses the Space Shuttle Enterprise.
Yep.
Enterprise, that's an interesting name. I wonder where they got that from.
Not a
clue. Got it off the cereal box somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. But here is a prime example of NASA naming one of its space shuttles Enterprise because of the popularity of Star Trek.
Well, that was it in part, but I mean, there have been ships named the Enterprise for like 200 years.
Yeah. But I know, in 1976, you had the Star Trek people, the original cast, visiting the NASA base or center, Dryden, which is now Armstrong in 1976. And they had a display up. I remember that because I saw that right with the Enterprise. And it's basically, it's Roddenberry, it's all the cast. I don't see Shatner there, but meeting with the astronauts, meeting with the NASA people, and standing in front of the Enterprise. And all wearing these really bad 1970s suits. It's like, and just going from memory, I remember watching documentaries about this. Maybe not this specific event, but when Star Trek people visits NASA, it's like the Star Trek actors and producers, all they want to do is see the astronauts and see the scientists. And all the astronauts and scientists want to do is they want to see the Star Trek actors. It's just, it's like role reversal.
It all works out.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that. And yeah, we should go back to the whole Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum because we were in town for a New York Comic Con, and it was a good experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've always been an aircraft carrier nerd, even as a little kid. I think it's so amazing that they built an entire city sitting on the sea. It's almost like a spaceship.
Yeah, or a dreadnought. It's just insane. And well, since we're into the whole military theme now, let's talk about Star Wars. No, not the whole Jedi business and George Lucas. No.
Oh,
I'm talking about Ronald Reagan's Star Wars from the early 1980s, a Strategic Defense Initiative.
Yeah, didn't that whole concept kind of piss people off?
Well,
it pissed Russia off.
Basically,
but naming it Star Wars, didn't it piss a bunch of people off? I forget.
Yeah.
I was very young at the time.
Yeah,
I believe that the government didn't actually call it Star Wars, but that the press did, and it just kind of stuck as the name.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it did help to bankrupt the Soviet Union. There's that, and there's historians, and that's some of the arguments saying that led to the collapse of the Soviet Union because they couldn't keep up financially with the space race. But who knows? But the fact of the matter,
that's what I've read too.
Yeah, that you have pop culture, Star Wars, wars in the stars basically being used in a time of human history where it was very easy to start a nuclear war between two superpowers. It just shows the power and the inspiration, I suppose, of science fiction on reality. Yeah, scary time.
Yeah, no kidding.
What else? I think the most important invention that we've had ever in science fiction is automatic doors. Each time I go to Walmart or a place like that, a big box store, I don't have to open up the door. The door opens up in front of me. How nice is that?
Yeah, that always makes me feel like I'm in Star Trek or Star Wars.
Apparently H.G. Wells made reference to that, like way before Star Trek, like in the 19th century.
Oh, cool.
Like, who knew? Because you think something like that is like, when did automatic doors actually arrive in the real world? I don't know, 1980s maybe?
I know they've been around as long as I've been alive, which is about 40 years.
It's just really interesting stuff. And also,
and H.G. Wells also presupposed the rocket and atomic power.
Yeah, atomic.
You might say that Jules Verne and H.G. Wells together kind of invented the concept of science fiction and future technology and steampunk.
And submarines.
Yeah, Jules Verne invented the submarine. I don't know, like one source said he invented the helicopter, but Da Vinci did sketch a helicopter way back in the 1400s, 1500s?
Yeah, 1500s.
Yeah. But Jules Verne, did a story of one of an actual working mechanical one as opposed to a, hand cranked bit of business.
I'm reading an article right now, and I think this is a somewhat credible scientific source. The Smithsonian.com. That's a series of museums, I believe, in the States, right? The Smithsonian?
Uh-huh.
Yes, it is.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And it's over there on the other side of the country.
In Washington, D.C.
Right, okay. I suppose they have an Air and Space Museum, maybe two. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a whole series of museums.
I know. Okay, I love the Smithsonian. But this article is named as 10 Inventions Inspired by Science Fiction. So even stuffy museums recognize the influence of fiction, in this case science fiction, on real life inventions. And it mentions the H.G. Wells of the world, or the Jules Verne's, and others. Like the tricorder is big, of course. I always cite that. But so much. The helicopter, you said. The rocket. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm thinking it's from the War of the Worlds. H.G. Wells. Wow. These are like old science fiction classics. And wait, didn't you mention one offline, Derek, about the War Room in the White House?
Yeah, I turned out to be slightly wrong about that one, but the war room that was invented for the movie Doctor Strangelove, which is kind of sort of a science fiction story, kind of. The actual war room does not look like that, and it kind of popularized the notion that it was. And even President Reagan, when he first took office, he asked to be shown where the war room was, and he thought that that's what it actually looked like, and it didn't. And that's actually become a popular meeting room architecture layout done everywhere now. That kind of circular table with the high ceiling. I mean, that basically didn't exist before that. The only one that existed before that was one for the UN Security Council, which was done just like the year before Doctor Strangelove. So it kind of popularized a architectural layout
that barely exists.
Yeah. Art influencing reality again. Well, there's also Robert Heinlein and his mechanical hand. You know about this one? So the Waldos, yes. So he came up with this idea of operating a mechanical hand in technology, which is they actually use that in the nuclear industry to dabble with the uranium and all the isotopes and all the really bad stuff that kills humans through radiation and stuff.
And all the deep sea explorer subs, they have those little robotic arms to handle things outside of the sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got things like the taser. That was perceived in science fiction by Tom Swift before it became a real thing. Big in the police world.
Yeah.
There's lots of examples. Even QuickTime. Apparently, QuickTime, the software program, was inspired by an episode of Star Trek: Next Generation when one of the characters was listening to multiple music tracks. Data, obviously. It's just okay. And Apple scientist Steve Perlman says that.
Cool.
Yeah, who knew? I think people should watch more science fiction so that inspires them to make more inventions.
Sure.
And Neil Stephenson in 1992 wrote a book involving kind of a MMORPG, Second Life Avatar kind of story. And then that was the inspiration for the creation of that actual kind of gaming.
Yeah, like Second Life or...
Second Life, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think, God, why can't I think of his name right now? There was a book written in, I think, the 80s about virtual reality, but I could be wrong. I think it was in the 80s or 90s.
Virtual reality existed, but this kind of specific kind of, like you're living in a fake avatar interacting with other fake avatars kind of thing.
Okay.
Imagine if we didn't have cell phones in society. That for some reason tomorrow there's no cell phones. As a society, what would we do? Talk to people? Use large computer interfaces in public buildings instead, and just so technology.
We would be less connected to the world right now, which may or may not be a good thing.
Yeah, the one constant in the progress, if you want to call that, or the evolution of humanity, is technological advances. Up to a point where then we lose it and we go through a period of ignorance, like the Dark Ages, and then we come back to it, and you see it, and I'm a big fan of technology as long as it's used for positive, good purposes, which opens up the door to all the humanities and philosophies and, of course, politics. Yeah. Well, guys, anything else before we shut the doors for this evening?
Not that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure we're missing tons and tons of stuff.
Oh, but. Yeah. We can, like, the one website has thousands. We could, this can be our full-time podcast topic.
That no one would listen to.
Yes. I actually really like the hard sciences, and I want to try to bring in a lot of the hard sciences, and especially space exploration more in the future. I want to do a lot more things with this show, and we'll see where the future takes us. It's all a big mystery. So, all right. So let's do our closing and close this puppy down. So we have 3 channels for our social media. I do the Twitter, which is focused on sci-fi news and an occasional bad joke by me. Derek does the Facebook. Hi, Derek.
Hi.
Yeah, and you do mostly like geek news and stuff, which is really good to see.
Yep.
And of course, my new little thing is Instagram, which I focus on the more beer, food, bar, pub side things. Because perhaps when I win the lottery, not only would I move to California, I'll open up a science fiction / science themed bar because I like this stuff a lot. So I do the Instagram.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Our show's Twitter address is at SciFi Pubcast, so you can find us there. If you leave a positive review on Apple Podcast, we'll send you stickers. Hell, if you want a sticker, just email us. I'll send you a sticker. And our email is management@scifipubcast.space, or hit us up on social media. Carrie, what's your Twitter address?
You can find me at Carrie Blackfire42. That's KERI Blackfire42.
And Derek, what's yours?
I am at Derek J. Beebe.
And I'm at Joel_Welch, WELCH. And that's it, guys. It's been great. Let's do it again very soon. Please make it home.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Drew. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.